Heads up, audio listeners, you're about to hear a videotaped conversation. For the full experience, you'll find the video version of this episode on Spotify or YouTube. All right, so we were just talking about the fact that you just realized or remembered that you're actually in a competition here at Cannes. You're in the Un Certain Regard competition.
Yeah, so I just met this guy who was working for the jury for the Caméra d'Or, so best first film. And then he reminded me that is a real competition. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I just told him like, actually my two favorite films from last year, which is After Sun.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't won anything. And there is this As Bestias, a Spanish movie, which I really love. Didn't get anything. So I was like, what does that mean?
Well, maybe you shouldn't win.
Yeah. I don't know. It's always...
That is writer-director Baloji, and you just witnessed a rare moment of him at a loss for words. Born in the Republic of the Congo, he moved to Belgium as a kid, where he became a rap star. And just like his music, his movies have a lot to say. Case in point, the film he premiered at Cannes called OMEN, which starts out as the story of a Belgian named Coffee. He travels back to Africa to get his family's blessing on his marriage. But soon the movie turns into something wilder and deeper, a feverish vision of a society that sees demons everywhere and of outsiders banding together to change that. I'm Rico Gagliano. This is the MUBI podcast. Welcome back to our special season of conversations from the 2023 Cannes Film Festival. This is episode 6, Baloji talking about OMEN, and about his filmmaking hero, who was also screening a film at Cannes.
I'm personally a big fan of Steve McQueen.
Yeah, oh my God.
For multiple reasons. Also the fact that he's coming from a different art form than cinema.
Just like you.
And I know that cinema has like this boxes culture that if you're a filmmaker, this is what you do, and you cannot express yourself in different art forms. So that means that if somebody is multidisciplinary, it means he doesn't have discipline.
You really think that is? Because to me, it's spectacular. The fact that you can excel in multiple artistic avenues is like pretty remarkable. You don't think so?
I'm glad to hear this, but the reality just remind me that that is not the case. That the fact that I'm not trained, I didn't went to film school. It's an issue, and most people just say, "You a rapper, stick to rap," because I present already 3 films to Film Commission from 2012, and in 2018, I get sick of it. Because I went to some script training, and they all tried to make me to mold my movie in the way to make sure that it get accepted by the film commissions, instead of telling your real story or the story that is inside you that you're dying to talk about.
There's a style that you think the film commission is looking for?
Yeah, because they want that we look at the film in a very Western perspective, European perspective, and it's an issue. So that's why in Augure, Omen, I really try to play with this. So to give the feeling that the movie is about coffee going back home. It's like the typical back to my country story, but it's basically a MacGuffin. Like it's this Hitchcock trick. Like actually, Coffee is not a victim because he can leave. Mm-hmm. He's in Congo for a few days and then he go back. The real victim is the mom that has to stay there, and she has no other options.
It is interesting too, because reading the description of the piece, it's like I was prepared for what it becomes, which is this kind of phantasmagorical trip through Africa. But it starts off, I'm like, I seriously was like, is this the right film? Like, did they send me the right screener? It was, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, there's a story here. That's cool. And then it like eases you into this like beautiful madness kind of thing. And this was by design, you're saying?
Yes, I tried, but at the same time, I'm a big football fan, and in every World Cup, I noticed that, if you watch England, everybody is a coach. So if you watch a movie, everybody's a director. So everybody say, even my daughter, 14 years old, she watched a movie, say, now he's going to do this. And because we train to think like this, because that's the way we consume so much content every day. So that's why when I mention a movie like After Sun, I think it's refreshing because you don't get it the way that it's supposed to be. I think we need this. We need to dive into an experience without having our rational mind that tell us how to tell a narrative. I'm a big fan of Italian cinema, the Antonini, Fellini, Pasolini films, and this is really this grandeur and décadence. Yeah, it's just you have the big frame and the very small one, like the big story and the small one at the same time. Yeah, I just love when the narrative is just as complex as we are as human beings. We're not one-dimensional. We're just full of layers. This is human being.
Let me ask you, since you had mentioned this earlier, going from rap to film, is there a connection to you between the two of them?
It's a narrative, telling a story.
That's right.
For example, for this project, I did something that really changed me as a person because it learned me empathy. Because I made like an album from the point of view of my characters. And I know that in school, film school, they always talk about the point of view, the backstory. And I literally did this in music. And it took me a long time to, for example, do an album for Chala, the sister of Kofi, was a 35 years old woman who doesn't want to have kids, who's dating male and female and has that freedom. And how me as a cisgenre man can be on her point of view. So it took me a moment to get into this, and it really helped me to communicate with the cast, communicate with the team, based with the music as a tool for us to understand better the situation, just like a storyboard, just like all these elements that we put together.
You just reminded me that I've done a terrible disservice to the people, most of whom will not have seen this movie yet by the time this comes out very shortly from when we tape it.
I hope they will.
But let's get a quick rundown. Very briefly, you've kind of gotten the idea across. It's a coming home movie, but give us the details. What's the film about, so to speak?
So the movie it's a 4 different point of view films about characters considered as sorcerer and witches in this African landscape and how they help each other to fight against this patriarchal structure, this misogynist structure.
What was the original impetus for telling for those themes, I guess?
There is a lot of reasons, but the main one is that my name is Baloji, which technically means man of science, but with Christianity in Africa, it means man of bad science or black magics. And then the last 50 years, it become sorcerer. And it's, like I say often, it's like calling yourself devil or demon. So people are just like, whoa.
Yeah, seriously?
They don't.
Did you do that consciously?
Some part of the team, they were like, I'm not going to say your name out loud. I'm scared. Or you go to the radio, they don't dare to say my name. Like, for example, I just received a message from the Belgian, the Congolese government people that coming to Cannes, and they don't dare to say my name. So they're like, Mr. Cheney. So they're like, no, that's not my name. My name is Baloji. You can say it. You don't curse yourself saying it. So this is something that I have in me to be considered as connected to bad force, and which is not the case. And it's interesting to navigate how our society is built on this.
You made a movie called Zombies.
Yes.
Short, music filled. It's beautiful. Right now, like in this moment, I'm trying to find what the connection is between the two, because I feel like there might be. I know visually I feel like there's a connection.
There is.
But what do you think thematically? Because for those who don't know, it's about it's kind of more of a short and more of it's kind of impressionistic, but it's kind of about people who are like stuck in the social media world in a way that are and walking around like zombies. But I mean, the idea of zombies, this movie is about witches. There's something like the idea of curses and like evil. What is there a connection? Did you think about there being one?
No, I see it coming, and I think it's interesting. I didn't went that far. Okay, but
let's do it now.
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's figure it out.
Therapy. So
I do kind of feel like this is weird therapy.
So you're obsessed with horror film? No, not at all. Actually,
is that true?
It's a genre that I don't really like.
And yet, you're dealing with the
I
supernatural.
think for me, a horror film that I like is Ari Aster.
Oh yeah. Oh right.
That's for me something that I'm like, wow, this is spectacular.
It's psychological and kind of.
That's where it stops.
Really quickly, I wanted to ask you, because we just completed a season about music and movies.
Okay.
Specifically needle drops in movies.
Okay.
And kind of like really going deep on some of them. And
only on MUBI. That's really okay.
Hell yeah. But you being a musician, it just suddenly occurs to me that I should ask you, like, what is like off the top of your head, like the greatest needle drop in movies, or like at least the one that comes to mind, one that excited you.
What do you mean by needle drop?
Like a song that already existed and the director dropped it into their film and it like kind of recontextualized it. Like, what would be an example? Tears for Fears in the movie Donnie Darko. That a good one?
That's a really good one.
That came to mind because we did an episode about it.
Okay. Wow, that's an incredible one. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yep. We'll just sit here for a couple hours while you mull it over.
There was a movie that we watched with my editor. It's a Tarantino movie. And there was it's Pulp Fiction. Fuck. So we watch Pulp Fiction because we watch a lot of his film because narratively it changed point of view, or sometimes with Charlie, what is his name? Foxy Brown. It tells the same story from different, etc. So we watch a lot of his movie just because we were in that process. And
Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown. Yep. Yeah, Foxy Brown. That's another one. That's a rapper thing. Sorry. And I think this scene when Thurman is dancing with Travolta.
Oh, Uma Thurman's dancing with him. What is it? Don't you know you never can tell? Is that what? C'est la vie, say the old folks. Don't you know you never can.
You sang it. This scene is incredible because I think if you do this in 23, you make it super short, like 25 seconds. And dude, don't care. It just let you play the whole song, even the moment that it's a little bit weak. That they don't really know how to dance and they're doing some weird things. And just to see it now, I was like, oh shit, I didn't remember that scene like this. Because of course you get the move, what you do, all these things. And that's the thing that stand out.
Yeah.
But the scene is really like, whoa.
Yeah, and to pick that song, there's a million songs that you could drop there. It's a dance competition scene. They could play anything.
Play anything.
Somehow that song works. Why does that song work?
And it creates something special into this film, and I love that. Yeah. Sometimes I think like one day I would love to do a musical.
Yeah. Well,
but
yeah,
really,
I'm surprised you didn't start with a musical because you're a musician.
Yeah, but just because the industry will be like, oh, of course, a musician doing
right.
But I think when it's done like Lars von Trier, and it goes somewhere else.
Dancer in the Dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's magical.
What is your next project, I guess would be my next thing, because you could be a rap album, it could be
so I'm doing the albums. I'm doing like a exhibition project with all the costumes of the film and the photographs we did. And then I'm working on a short film called Black Dahlia. Okay. It's about, again, feminism, about a group of women living into their own society, and most of my focus is on my second feature film.
Why the focus on female characters, I wonder?
Because the same way I think racism is a white people problem, I think feminism is a man issue, because it doesn't help us neither. we have to understand that there is something wrong with the way that our society is structured as a male-oriented structure. So it's important that we change it as men. I think it has to come from us.
Writer-director Baloji, quick fact check, turns out the film he mentioned earlier, After Sun, actually did win a prize when it played Cannes, which is okay because shortly after this interview, so did Omen. It earned Baloji the New Voice Award. Look for his movie later this year. Meanwhile, this episode of the MUBI podcast was written and hosted by me, Rico Gagliano. Kira McKenna produced along with Elodie Fagan and Josefina Perez-Portillo. Prachi Mokashi edited the show, and Michelle Cho is our supervising editor. Yuri Suzuki composed our theme music. Our camera crew in Cannes included Cedric Azar, Alice Deplat, Rob Godfrey, Solal Colon, and Matis Toti. Special thanks to MUBI's additional team in Cannes, Eric Eisenberg, Sam Leder, and Ilias Malki. This series is executive produced by me, along with John Baranachea, F.A. Ceccarel, Daniel Kasman, and Michael Taka. And of course, to stream the best in cinema, head over to MUBI.com to start watching. Next episode, the hilarious and provocative Joanna Arnau. And by the way, if Baloji looks like he's towering over me in this video, that's because he was. When he walked into the studio, his first words were, "Hi, it's great to meet you." And yeah, I know, I'm really tall.